The phone on the kitchen counter lit up at 2:17 a.m. with a single line that punched the air from my lungs. "You're on thin ice, LOL. My name is Daniel Park, 34, senior systems architect, the guy who still sets 3 alarms to make sure the kids' lunches are packed." I was supposed to be asleep beside my wife, Sarah, but the baby monitor had crackled with a cough and I'd come downstairs for water. The screen glowed in the dark like a confession. The sender was Chad Work. I stared at the preview bubble until the letters blurred. Sarah's phone was face down on the charger, the same spot it lived every night since we'd sworn off bedroom screens, after our third fight about boundaries. My pulse hammered so hard I felt it in my teeth. I told myself it was nothing. A joke. Inside corporate jargon. Chad was the new regional VP, the one who wore sneakers with suits and called everyone fam. Sarah had laughed about him at dinner 2 weeks ago, mimicking his Valley Guy drawl. "He says circle back like it's a pickup line." We chuckled together, her foot rubbing my ankle under the table. But 2:17 a.m. is not the hour for jokes. I swiped. The lock screen asked for her birthday. I typed it, our wedding date, because she said it made her feel chosen every morning. The phone opened like a mouth. The thread stretched back 4 months. I read standing in the cold spill of the refrigerator light, the hum drowning the sound of my own breathing. Sarah, 11:03 p.m. Can't sleep. Thinking about your stupid tie today. Chad, 11:04 p.m. The Navy one? You said it made me look dangerously competent. Sarah, 11:05 p.m. Dangerously something. Emoji. Eggplant. Water droplets. Peach. My knees folded. I sat on the tile, back against the cabinets, scrolling upward like a man rappelling into his own grave. There were voice notes, her whispery laugh, his low murmur. A photo of her collarbone dusted with conference room fluorescence. A calendar invite titled Sink Storage Closet B, 3rd floor. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for the fridge to click off and the house to settle into that pre-dawn hush where every heartbeat is audible. When I finally stood, the phone felt radioactive in my hand. I carried it upstairs. Sarah was on her side, mouth slightly open, one arm flung above the pillow the way she'd slept since college. Moonlight striped her face. She looked innocent. She looked like the woman who'd cried in my arms the night our daughter was born, whispering, "We did it, Dan. We're a family." I set the phone on the nightstand, screen up, the peach emoji still glowing. "Sarah." My voice cracked like a 12-year-old's. She stirred, blinked, focused on the light. Recognition hit her in stages. Confusion. Then the slow drain of color. "Dan. Who's on thin ice?" I asked. She sat up, clutching the sheet to her chest as if modesty mattered now. "It's not what." "Don't." The word came out flat, surgical. "For months, Sarah. Storage closets. Hotel key cards in your gym bag. Don't insult me with not what it looks like." Her eyes filled so fast the tears spilled before she could blink. I was going to end it. Tonight. I swear. By telling him he's on thin ice? She flinched. That was gallows humor. I was scared. HR's been asking questions. Someone saw us at the holiday party. My stomach lurched. The holiday party. I'd been home with the stomach flu. Texting her photos of the kids in front of the tree. She'd replied with heart emojis and "wish you were here." I laughed, a sound like tearing paper. "So the investigation's real?" She nodded, small, miserable. "Anonymous complaint. They pulled security footage. I thought if I cooled it off." "Cooled it off," I repeated. The phrase tasted like rust. Downstairs, the baby monitor crackled again. Our son Milo, age 2, coughing in his sleep. Sarah's head snapped toward the sound, maternal reflex overriding everything. She started to rise. I blocked the doorway. "He'll settle. Answer me. Do you love him?" Silence stretched thin and sharp. "I love you," she said finally, voice trembling. "I love our life. Chad was a mistake. A stupid, selfish. 4 months isn't a mistake, Sarah. It's a choice." Repeatedly. She pressed her fists to her eyes. I know. I wanted to shake her. I wanted to crawl into bed and pretend the phone had never lit up. Instead, I asked the question that would haunt me for years. "When you came home and kissed me goodnight, were you still wet from him?" Her sob was answer enough. I left the room before I did something I couldn't undo. The guest room smelled of dust and the lavender sachets Sarah tucked into every drawer. I lay on the too-short bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every late meeting, every girl's night. Every time she checked her phone under the dinner table and smiled at something I couldn't see. At 6 a.m. the house stirred. Mia, our 5-year-old, patted in wanting pancakes. I made them in the shape of dinosaurs because that's what dads do. Sarah appeared in the doorway, eyes swollen, hair in a knot. She reached for the spatula. I let her take it. Our fingers brushed. Hers were ice. We moved around each other like ghosts. At 8:42 her phone buzzed on the counter. HR. She answered on speaker out of some masochistic impulse. Mrs. Park, we need you in at 10. Bring counsel if you wish. The kids were in the living room, arguing over Bluey. Sarah's knees buckled. I caught her elbow out of reflex. She looked at me wild. I could lose everything. You already did, I said quietly. She went alone. I dropped the kids at my sister's and drove to the lake where we'd gotten engaged. I sat on the same bench, watching geese knife across the water, and let myself cry the way I hadn't since my father's funeral. Sarah texted at 11:57. They suspended me pending investigation. I'm in the parking lot. Can we talk? I didn't answer. At 2:14 p.m. another text. Chad resigned. He threw me under the bus. Said it was consensual but I pursued him. They believed him. I stared at the screen until it went black. That night she came home with a banker's box of succulents and framed photos from her desk. The kids ran to her, confused by the tears. She hugged them too hard. I waited until they were asleep. In the kitchen, under the same refrigerator light, I laid out the printed emails I'd forwarded to myself. Insurance in case she lawyered up. Her face crumpled as she read. I'll move out, she whispered. Give you space. No, the word surprised us both. The kids need stability. You sleep in the guest room. We'll co-parent like civilized people until we figure out what's left. She searched my face for mercy and found none. Weeks collapsed into a gray routine. Therapy on Tuesdays. Separate bedrooms. Sarah wore exhaustion like a second skin. She cooked dinners she barely touched, read bedtime stories in a voice stripped of music. One night Milo had a fever. We tag-teamed thermometer, lukewarm bath, Tylenol, moving in the old choreography. When he finally slept, Sarah lingered in the hallway. I miss you, she said. I looked at her, really looked. The woman who used to dance in the kitchen to Motown while flipping pancakes. The woman whose texts once made my chest glow. I miss who I thought you were, I said. She nodded, accepting the wound. The HR report landed 6 weeks later. Termination for cause. Chad walked away with a severance package and a non-disclosure. Sarah's reputation in the industry gone. She applied for jobs and got polite rejections. I watched her shrink. One Saturday the kids were at a birthday party. Sarah sat at the table surrounded by job listings, head in her hands. I destroyed us, she said to the silence. I poured coffee I didn't drink. You destroyed you. We're still deciding what happens to us. She looked up, eyes bloodshot. Do you want me to fight for this? The question hung between us like a guillotine. I thought of the peach emoji, of storage closets, of the way she used to trace my wedding ring when we watched TV. I don't know what I want, I admitted. But I know I can't pretend the crack isn't there. She nodded slow. Then I'll wait on the ice until you decide if it holds. Spring thawed. Sarah took contract work from home. Voice steady on client calls while coloring with Milo on the floor. She left post-it apologies on my mirror. I threw most away. One evening I found her in the garage, boxing Chad's Christmas gift. A watch I'd never seen her wear. She looked up, startled. I should have done this months ago, she said. I took the box, carried it to the trash, and crushed it under my heel. The glass face shattered like the last of my rage. That night, for the first time, I didn't lock the bedroom door. We didn't touch. We lay inches apart, listening to the house breathe. I'm not the same man you betrayed, I said into the dark. I know, she whispered. I'm not the same woman. Outside, thin ice glistened under streetlights, holding for now.